Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Monday, August 4th. Football is upon us. My name is Spencer Linton, alongside the top listener of Morgan Wallen on Spotify. Okay, that's a lie. But he is the top fan of Steve Young, and the two are combined. He is Jason Shepard.
Yeah, normally you wouldn't think that Morgan Wallen and Steve Young would be tied together for something, but they are. In fact, they even roped in Barry Bonds. Because Morgan,
did you have that on your bingo card?
I did not have that on my bingo card. Morgan Wallen, his concert in the Bay Area, decided to do his walk-in video.
Yeah.
You know, they show everybody walking in. Look who's walking in with.
Two of the Bay Area legends.
Legends, to say the very least. Barry Bonds and Steve Young. How cool is that?
Country pop star brings in a couple of guys that are immortalized in that area of the country.
Oh, without
no
a
doubt
doubt.
about it, right? What's your walk-in song, by the way? If you had to pick a walk-up song for baseball, because you're a baseball guy.
Yeah. No, I've thought of this extensively, actually, probably more than I should have. I've definitely decided it would be Metallica.
Yes. Okay, I was going to guess Metallica.
Yeah, no, 100%. It would be Metallica. It's probably going to be Sad But True.
That song's so tough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tough.
Yeah.
Right on. I go with Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. Fits my demeanor, doesn't it?
Yeah. By the way, speaking of walk-up songs, this is something I did not even realize until this last year, and it was his senior year.
Okay.
Cooper Vest. His walk-up song was the same his entire college career, which I knew. That was his walk-up song in high school, too. He had the same walk-up song through high school and college.
Hey, if it whatever gets you in the right mindset.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow, that
Shout out to Cooper Vest.
Dedication right there.
Yes.
Consistency. Enough walk-up songs. Let's get to the nitty-gritty because we have a ton to discuss. Rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
We want to be able to feel like we can play with everyone that's on our roster.
We're great. I feel like we're going to surprise people.
Once we get into games, it's going to be easy.
Just keep building on that, but we have a lot of work to still accomplish.
We're not even a week into BYU football training camp, and yet we are making rash assumptions. We are drawing conclusions based on limited knowledge. It's that time of year, and we are going headfirst into Overreaction Monday, Jason, as we look back on the first half week of BYU football training camp. We have compiled a list of reactions. Now we just need to determine whether they are actually an overreaction or not. And let's begin with the quarterback battle, because why would we start anywhere else, Jason? And the newcomer, Bear Bachmeier.
Bear Bachmeier has had an impressive fall camp so far, highlighted by this great throw to LaMason Waller.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this one.
Oh, he's pretty. He can spin it.
Look at that. And nice catch to stay in bounds, too, to land in bounds. That's not bad. Look at that. Excellent spiral.
Oh.
Okay.
LaMason Waller, by the way, is my pick for freshman MVP of training camp.
Well done. Based off of this one throw and this one throw alone.
Yes.
Bear Bachmeier will be the starting quarterback in week 1. Overreaction or not?
Believe it or not, there are people out there who are like, oh, see, Bear had the best day one. We're seeing throws like this. He could be the guy. I still think this is an overreaction, Jason. It's so early in camp. And we'll get into when BYU needs to pick a quarterback in just a moment. But, yeah, we cannot declare Bear the starter based on one good day or even 3 good days full of incredible throws. Maybe he gives him an advantage, but no, this is an overreaction. And I'm not kidding. I've had conversations with people that think, see, told you Bear was the guy. We have 3 days of evidence. It's still an overreaction.
Yeah, it's an overreaction because it's the very beginning of this process in terms of official fall camp practices. Obviously, all of these quarterbacks have been going through the off-season player-run practices, and so, you know, guys have an idea. I think it kind of goes back to what A-Rod said just a couple of days ago. I think it was Friday, when he mentioned, look, the players are going to know who the quarterback is because they're going to see it on the field. you got to see it multiple days. You have to see it time after time after time. And whether or not that's Bear, McKay, Trayson, that has to take, it takes time for that to develop and for the coaches to say, okay, what we've seen is not just a good day or a good session, a good series. We're starting to see this consistently, and we feel like this is the guy that can be the one to lead this offense and lead this very good offense to a season that we think we're capable of having. So, yes, it's an overreaction.
How many of you, and frankly, Jason, answer me this question, have seen a preview of a movie, and in that 2.5 minutes, you're like, oh, that movie is going to be epic. It looks amazing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then the movie doesn't quite play out how you thought it would.
That's honestly most movies, if we're being honest. Because what do? They jam-pack
Hype it
2.5
up.
minutes
Yes.
with all the best stuff. And then you get to see the movie, and then you get to see all the stuff that wasn't good enough to go in the trailer.
That's exactly right. Now, that's not to say that Bear Bachmeier or another quarterback making great throws that we're getting highlights of isn't going to be the starter and couldn't develop into a great starter.
Yes.
But we've only seen the 2.5-minute preview of the 2.5-hour movie.
Yes.
At this point.
Yes, I have no doubt in my mind that at some point, now I don't know if, I'm not saying that it's this season, but I'm talking about during his BYU career, Bear Bachmeier will be the starting quarterback for the BYU Cougars. Yeah. I feel very confident in saying that. But it's going to take time to know if it's going to be opening weekend, August 30th.
Jason, we have to watch the movie before we can determine if it's a good movie or not. Correct?
Yes.
We have to see the whole thing. We are 3 days into training camp. However, there is a former Cougar great who joined the program late last week, specifically BYU quarterback Brandon Doman, discussing the very popular quarterback battle happening right now. And he had a couple of jaw-dropping statements about McKay Hillstead. We'll begin with this one.
I think you've got a guy that can go lead this football team and be better than adequate. And I think he can be every bit as good as Jake, if not better, frankly. I think he's got some skills and attributes that are better than Jake. And so let McKay Hillstead go do his thing.
He can be as good, if not better, than Jake Retzloff. I know there's a timing element to this question, like when does he overtake the perception of Jake Retzloff? But let's just take the statement for what it is. The idea that McKay Hillstead can be better than Jake Retzloff. Is that an overreaction from Brandon Doman?
No, it's not an overreaction. And the reason I say it's not an overreaction is because who it's coming from. Look at the pedigree of the guy that's saying it. If someone is going to know, wouldn't it be someone like Brandon Doman who has been in those shoes before, that is also a quarterback that can throw the ball but is mobile like a McKay Hillstead? He understands the skill set. This is a guy that was drafted in the 5th round by the San Francisco 49ers that knows what the pro game looks like. He's obviously been a coach of quarterbacks and of offenses here at BYU. So it's not an overreaction because of the person that it comes from. Now, that obviously still has to play out, but I don't think it is an insane take from Brandon Doman that you could get the same type of production from McKay Hillstead that you got from Jake Retzloff, possibly even better. I don't think that is an overreaction statement.
The overreaction element to this question, I believe, is directly tied to the timing of said statement. Meaning, does Brandon Doman think right now that McKay Hillstead head-to-head at this time on August 4th is a better quarterback than Jake Retzloff?
Yeah, and that qualifier we don't know.
Correct. We did not ask him. We were not on the show when this interview was taking place, did not follow up that way. But if he were to say right now McKay Hillstead is a better quarterback than Jake Retzloff, then I would say, oh, okay, whoa, okay, hold the phone. Like, that's an overreaction. Because, frankly, I believe that BYU fans are going to miss Jake Retzloff's command of the leadership of the offense and his irrational confidence.
Right.
As strange as that sounds, they will miss that early in the season. Jake, when he goes on the field, he believes he's best player. Like, I am the best player on the field.
Well, and there's also something to be said for somebody who was on the field last year and in the trenches.
Getting it done in the clutch.
And faced Big 12 defenses.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all that I completely agree with.
But I believe Brandon said McKay Hillstead can be as good, if not better than Jake. That allows the timing to develop. So, sure, now we're talking about hypotheticals. And hypotheticals typically give you more leeway before you're like, well, that's an overreaction. So I think McKay Hillstead's skill set fits Aaron Roderick's offense right now better than Trayson Bourget and Bear Bachmeier because he's had time to be in the system. He's the best runner. I believe he's the best thrower. There is no doubt about it that McKay can spin it. The challenge for McKay Hillstead will be to fight the idea, and this comes from a few of the quarterbacks coaches that have worked with him, that sometimes he overthinks things. And this is common for most quarterbacks, especially early in their careers. You can be an overthinker, and you second-guess things, and that's when you get in trouble.
Right.
Can he just commit to a decision, make a read, and go? And that's tough for a new quarterback to overcome. So, frankly, it might not just be McKay that's a big overthinker. It could be with all three of them, but I believe that's his biggest challenge is commit and go. Then, if he can have the offense slow down and he's committing to decisions, Jason, then I believe that he could be better than Jake Retzloff. But when you're an overthinker, sometimes you have an 11 touchdown, 8 interception stat line. I know those are freshman stats, but he threw some bad passes.
Right.
Second guessing things.
But look what we saw very similar in terms of maybe trying to force some things out of Jake Retzloff, the 4 games that he started at the end of his first year.
Fair point.
And then obviously had the offseason and then came in and we saw what happened last year. So anyway, all right, let's stay with the Brandon Doman interview. Something else came out of this. He said he believes the Cougars need to name a starter as soon as possible.
Where's the ideal time of, okay, we decide at this point, and then the team rallies around that guy, and we can prepare in a way around one person for how long?
Monday. I wouldn't wait past Monday.
Could they realistically do that? Could they figure it out by Monday? That feels fast.
Yes. You can't wait. They won't tell anybody. They'll start, considering who the backup's going to be and how to manage the third string quarterback and so on and so forth. But they can't wait much past Monday of next week because there's not enough reps. You just don't have enough reps. And this starting quarterback needs continuity. He needs reps.
Wow.
Okay. Is that an overreaction from Brandon Doman that BYU should and could name a starter today? Today.
Mondays and today.
Yes.
Oh, man. I understand his logic.
We all hope that's the case. We'd love to know today.
We would all love to know, but I believe this is an overreaction. I just don't think that they have had enough time, speaking of the coaches, to adequately assess which of these quarterbacks has separated themselves from the pack. You need more time. They started camp on Wednesday. Have they even put on full pads yet?
This is the first full week of fall.
Have they even put on full pads?
Yeah.
And gone full speed and had a scrimmage? I believe that BYU, at the earliest, could name a starting quarterback internally, not publicly, but internally, after maybe the scrimmage late this week. I think you got to see these quarterbacks in a high-pressure situation, in a scrimmage, maybe at LaVell Edwards Stadium, whenever BYU decides to do that, with the proverbial bullets flying and the defense, you're facing the first-team defense, and everything's fast and sped up. I don't think you can really know who the guy is until you put them in one or maybe multiple of those scenarios. Ideally, it would be great to be able to be like, yeah, you're the guy. There's no way one of these guys has clearly separated themselves from the pack at this point of camp. At least I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it is too early. So I will say yes, it is an overreaction for a lot of the reasons that you just mentioned. I also think, though, that the coaches, I think you come into fall camp with an idea of who you believe the quarterback will be.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you're not open to anybody, because throughout the course of fall camp and the practices, that could change. But I think you go into it thinking, okay, my assumption is at the end of this quarterback battle, it's going to be this player. So I think you go in with that information, but you still have to let it play out to see if, number one, if you're right, and then certainly you need to let it play out if it turns out somebody else takes the reins and control of the offense. So I do think it's too early. I'm with you. I think you could probably, if you wanted to, maybe rush it a little bit. And again, this is all internal. They're not going to announce this. At least we wouldn't expect them to. Maybe at the end of the week, but I still think you're probably looking at maybe towards the end of next week.
Sure.
And then give that player 2 full weeks or so of first-team reps leading into the game. That seems to be like the timeline that makes sense to me.
Publicly, I don't think we're going to know until the quarterback runs onto the field with the offense for the first time on August 30th.
Right, and that's not a BYU thing. That's just college sports in general now. Nobody wants to tip their cap on anything.
Sure.
They want to make sure that you have all the quarterbacks run out there and they're all throwing the same amount, and then which one comes out to take the snaps on the first series.
Oh, the game before the game. I'll say this much. My opinion on who BYU's starting quarterback will be, or at least had the advantage going into camp, has changed in the first 5 days based on what I've seen, conversations I've had, and frankly, how the quarterbacks have executed. I mean, I gave a very, very slight edge to Trayson Bourguet coming into camp because he's the best natural leader. He's got the charisma, but I don't think he's executed the way that BYU had hoped he would, and that's why he has not been able to pull ahead. So right now, if you were to, and this is because so many people have asked, what's the depth chart? What's the depth? On August 4th, I have no stinking idea, but I'll tell you what I think right now. McKay Hillstead is maybe an inkling ahead of the other guys. Trayson Bourguet would be the second string, and then Bear Bachmeier is a guy that maybe, like Taysom Hill in 2012, would have some special packages put in, maybe in the red zone, a la Tim Tebow, Chris Leak, Florida 2006. That's my opinion, strictly my opinion right now. But think, like, if we're that close, Jason, you need more time in camp.
Yeah, again, you don't have to rush it. We all want them to rush it because we want to know who the guy is going to be.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, the whole point of this and the quarterback battle, and any position battle, is to make sure that you get the decision right, that you get the right guy there that can lead the offense. And if that takes 3 weeks, it takes 3 weeks. If it takes until the day before somebody is named, then that's what it takes. Despite all of our anxiety on wanting to know who it is.
Is everybody entertained? The quarterback battle that nobody thought BYU would be having, we are full on in the midst of. Well, now there's a question about who BYU's quarterback will be handing the ball off to, at least down the depth chart. We know that LJ Martin is running back 1. Then there's Sione Moa and Enoch Nawahine. But after that, Jason, based on something Aaron Roderick announced on Friday, there are some question marks. Specifically, Roderick said that running back Pokai Honga will no longer be with the team due to personal reasons. This is a hit for sure on BYU's depth chart. Pokai was an outstanding athlete and was expected to play an integral role on the offense. So, with Honga out, is it an overreaction that we should straight up be concerned about the depth and experience at the running back position?
I'm kind of on the fence on this one, but ultimately I'm going to say it's not an overreaction. And the reason I feel like it's not an overreaction is simply because we have seen BYU have to go to the depth that they have at that very position
last year
in recent years. And look, to me, you and I both high hopes and high expectations for LJ Martin. We know how good he is because when he's healthy and on the field, the production has been there, and he has absolutely been a massive weapon for the Cougar offense.
Jason, if he can play 11 games, he'll be a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yes, 100. I agree 100%. But because we have seen that he has been injured and has not been on the field for as much as I know he wants to be, BYU has had to tap into that depth. And if you're now starting to take away some of the depth options, yes, that can be a concern. Now, the hope is that LJ stays healthy. He plays every game. He's your lead back. He's that workhorse that you can put all of the pressure on his shoulders and let him go to work, because we know he's got the talent to do that. The hope is that he's healthy and you don't have to use the depth to the level that you have in the past. But, you know, history has shown that you probably will.
What if he has to miss a few games?
Look, and it's
then what?
Look, and it's not just LJ Martin. That's a position that gets beat up a lot. There's a lot that these running backs have to take from a punishment standpoint. You've got to have guys behind your lead back that can step in those situations. It's not just in the LJ Martin BYU thing.
Jason, all three of the running backs we just showed on the screen, specifically LJ Martin, Sione Moa, and Enoch Nawahine, missed games, plural, games last year because of injuries. Power 4 football is incredibly physical. Newsflash! You need physical, durable running backs. That's what made Tyler Algier so special. Tyler was it's unbeatable at BYU. And frankly, his durability in the NFL has been incredible, knock on wood. He's been so good, just staying on the field. So, yes, it's all health related, but all three of the running backs, 1, 2, 3 in the depth chart right now, missed multiple games because of injury last year. So, you take a guy like Pokai Honga out, and it's like, okay, well, what now? So I guess my response overall to this question of if it's an overreaction to be concerned about the lack of depth hinges on what happens with Hinckley Ropati. If BYU gets a waiver and Hinckley is back and can join the running backs room, then I'm feeling okay. And I think it is an overreaction. If he is not granted that waiver and there's no Hinckley and there's no Pokai, then I'm concerned.
Right.
And it's not an overreaction.
Right, and we don't know when the NCAA is going to make a decision on a waiver. It's one of those weird things that they don't give you a time frame. They just all of a sudden will give you an answer.
Stand by.
Out of the blue. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just whenever we get to it, then we'll let you know.
Yes, it's the it's the dreaded appointment at your house for the pest control guy. Hey, we're going to give you a window next week. Monday to Friday, sometime between 8 and 5.
Between 8 and 8 p.m., 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Okay, we'll just be here all 5 of those days for 12 hours each day.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer, the cable guy's trying to get in, and Kramer's so upset with him because he made him wait one time that he now makes the cable guy wait for him. He hides from him. It's great.
Oh, fantastic show and episode.